My slutty stepsister slept with my fiancé a week before our wedding, so I exposed her secret sugar daddy during her toast. I never thought my wedding week would end in flames. For most of my life, I was the good one, the one who didn't cause trouble, who kept quiet even when things were unfair, who tried to make everyone happy. Then there was my stepsister, Vanessa, the living embodiment of chaos wrapped in a designer dress. Vanessa came into my life when I was 14. My dad remarried her mom, a woman who loved drama as much as Vanessa loved attention. From day one, Vanessa made it her mission to remind me that she was prettier, more popular, and more desirable. She was the kind of person who walked into a room and expected the world to stop spinning until she was acknowledged. Growing up, I learned to tolerate her. It was easier that way. My dad always said, "Just ignore her, sweetheart. She's insecure." But Vanessa wasn't insecure. She was entitled. She wanted what other people had simply because she could take it. Fast forward to now, I was finally getting married to Ethan, my fiancé of 3 years. We'd met in college, built a life together, and survived the ups and downs that came with our careers and families. He wasn't perfect, but I loved him. He was stable, reliable, kind, or so I thought. The week before our wedding, the house was buzzing with excitement. I had bridesmaids running errands, my mom finalizing last-minute details, and Vanessa, pretending to be supportive. She insisted on helping with the wedding planning, picking dresses, tasting cakes, even managing my bridal shower. On the surface, she looked like the perfect sister, smiling for photos, hyping me up, saying, "I'm so happy for you, sis." But there was something off about her. A sly grin here, a snarky comment there. She'd say things like, "You're so brave for wearing that dress. I could never pull off something so simple." Or, "Wow, Ethan really loves you. I mean, not every guy would settle down so soon." I laughed it off because I didn't want to start a fight. Vanessa thrived on conflict, and I was too exhausted to feed her ego. Still, I started to notice things. She'd touch Ethan's arm when she talked to him. She'd call him brother-in-law in that flirty, drawn-out way that made everyone uncomfortable. Once, I walked into the kitchen and found them laughing together. Too close. She pulled back when she saw me, acting like nothing happened. "Hey, babe," Ethan said, a little too casually. "Your sister's hilarious." Sister. The word made my stomach twist. I brushed it off. Again. I told myself I was just being paranoid. We were stressed, tired, juggling family and wedding plans. Vanessa was a flirt, yes, but she flirted with everyone. She just liked attention. That's who she was. Still, that week, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. The night before my final dress fitting, Vanessa came into my room holding 2 glasses of wine. "To the bride," she said, smiling that fake perfect smile. I took the glass, smiled back, and said, "To the sister who didn't ruin anything yet." She laughed. "Too hard." "Oh, come on. You really think I'd ruin your wedding? Please, I'm not that evil." But there was something in her tone, a sharpness, a teasing edge that made my chest tighten. As she left my room, she turned at the door and said, "You know, Ethan's lucky to have someone as trusting as you." I didn't realize it then, but that was her warning shot. If I had known what she meant, if I had just listened to my gut, maybe I could have saved myself the heartbreak. But instead, I smiled, wished her good night, and went to sleep dreaming about the wedding I thought I was going to have. Little did I know, my stepsister had already destroyed it. The next few days were a blur of chaos and excitement. The florist was late, the caterer mixed up our menu, and my phone wouldn't stop ringing. Through it all, Ethan seemed distracted. At first, I thought it was stress. Weddings can turn even the calmest people into wrecks. But his distraction wasn't just stress. It was guilt disguised as exhaustion. He started avoiding eye contact, staying late at work, and snapping at small things. I asked if he was okay, and he just said, "Yeah, I'm fine, babe. Just a lot on my plate right now." Fine. That word started to sound like a lie. Vanessa, on the other hand, was everywhere. She was suddenly the most helpful person in the world, dropping by unannounced, offering to help Ethan with wedding errands, and making jokes about how she'd be the sexy stepsister of the year. I tried to ignore her. I had bigger things to worry about. But 2 days before the wedding, everything changed. It was a Tuesday night. Ethan had said he was staying late for work, and I was home finishing the final seating chart. Vanessa had stopped by earlier that day to drop off some decor she borrowed from a friend. When she left, she forgot her phone. Or so I thought. A few hours later, I heard a ping from the living room. A notification lit up on her phone screen. Normally, I wouldn't snoop, but something made me look. Maybe it was intuition. Maybe it was the sick feeling I'd been ignoring all week. The message read, "Last night was amazing, kissy face. I can't believe you're marrying her." My heart stopped. I stared at the message for a full 10 seconds. Before I opened the phone, I shouldn't have been able to, but Vanessa's passcode was her birthday. Typical. I scrolled, and scrolled, and scrolled. Messages, pictures, voice notes. Her and Ethan. In my house, on my couch, while I was at work. It wasn't just a fling. It had been going on for months. My entire body went numb. I could hear my heartbeat in my ears. My fiancé, my sister, my wedding. Everything was collapsing in slow motion. When Ethan came home that night, I was waiting for him, his phone charger in one hand, Vanessa's phone in the other. He froze when he saw it. "What's that?" I said nothing. I just held up the screen with their messages. His face went pale. He stammered, tried to explain, but the words spilled out like garbage. "It was a mistake. It didn't mean anything. She came on to me, I swear." I cut him off. "You had sex with my sister in the house we picked out together, Ethan. Don't you dare tell me it didn't mean anything." He dropped his head, hands trembling. "I messed up, okay? I'm so sorry." I wanted to scream, cry, throw something, but instead I felt empty, completely hollow. The next day, I went to see Vanessa. I don't even know why. Maybe I needed to hear it from her. Maybe I wanted to believe it wasn't true. She opened the door wearing Ethan's hoodie. That told me everything. I said, "How long has it been going on?" She smiled, that smug, evil smile that had haunted me since childhood. "Oh, don't look at me like that. He's the one who wanted me. I didn't force him." "Vanessa, you're my sister." "Stepsister. And if he was loyal, you'd still have him." Something inside me broke right then. Not just my heart, but the part of me that still believed in fairness or decency. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just said, "You'll regret this." She rolled her eyes. "Sure, whatever helps you sleep at night." I walked away without another word. That night, I called off the wedding. Guests, vendors, everything. My parents were shocked, but I didn't explain. I couldn't. Not yet. Because even though my heart was shattered, a cold, calculated thought began to form in the back of my mind. Vanessa thought she'd won, that she had humiliated me, taken everything I loved, and walked away spotless. But she had no idea what I was capable of when I was pushed too far. I wasn't going to cry over her betrayal. I was going to burn her world down, piece by piece. And when the perfect opportunity presented itself, I took it. I sat in my car for a long time after I called off the wedding. Rain tapped the windshield like tiny accusations. I could have let it go. I could have left Vanessa to her life and tried to stitch mine back together. For a few hours, that idea flickered through me like a candle. Then I thought of how she'd smirked at me, wearing my fiancé's hoodie, and the candle blew out. Revenge isn't pretty. It isn't noble. It's a slow, methodical thing that eats every other feeling until you can only see the shape of the outcome you want. Mine was simple. Expose Vanessa so completely that she would have nothing left to hide behind. The first piece fell into my lap by accident. A weekend later, I was clearing out a drawer of things Ethan had kept at our place. Photos, random receipts, trying, idiotically, to feel something. Buried under movie stubs and a Polaroid of us at the coastline was a crumpled parking receipt with a luxury hotel name on it. The date matched a night a friend had told me Ethan randomly spent late at work. Something clicked. I started paying attention. Not because I enjoyed it, but because the truth had a smell, and I could no longer ignore it. Vanessa lived loud. Designer bags, cocktails, constant new clothes. Something else paid for that life. People who wear extravagant lives often forget their receipts. I had 3 routes to proof. Vanessa's phone, which I already had access to, witnesses, and the financial paper trail. Hacking? No. Illegal. I learned that much from the bitter taste of losing everything you've built. So I did the legal, messy work. I asked. I listened. I collected what people handed me. A bartender I'd bribed with a "you'll be helping a friend" promise pulled a few names from memory. A mutual acquaintance, someone Vanessa bragged about to feel important, slipped and mentioned an older man who treated her like a kept woman. An ex-colleague offered a screenshot of a DM where Vanessa joked about gifts from the generous Mr. K. I pieced it together like a puzzle. Messages, hotel receipts, pictures with an older man's hand on her lower back, a string of Venmo transfers labeled in the most cowardly way possible. Loan, help, thanks. And a few bank transfer confirmations that matched the amount she'd been bragging about. It wasn't glamorous. It was evidence. Dull. Satisfying. I compiled a folder on my laptop. Screenshots, timestamps, annotated receipts. I printed a few of the most damning pieces. Seeing the physical paper in my hands made the plan feel real, like ammunition you could fire. Vanessa's big night was a week later, a congratulations cocktail thrown by her friends to celebrate her engagement to some fed-up guy she'd been stringing along. It was at the club she loved, the one with mirrored walls and men who called her gorgeous, the way a dog begs for scraps. She'd invited our parents. She'd invited Ethan, who showed up pale and hollow, like a ghost who still belonged to my life. Most dangerous of all, the woman whose husband Mr. K was. She'd been invited too, an oblivious, perfectly coordinated wags type who wore her marriage like jewelry. I could have walked in and screamed the truth. I could have thrown evidence across the room and let the crowd devour her. But chaos looks messy on camera. I wanted clean, undeniable humiliation. I wanted the room to be the kind of quiet you only hear after something has been irrevocably broken. So I played it like she always played everyone else, confidently, like I belonged there. I wore a dress that made people look twice. I smiled at strangers. I let Vanessa pose, drink, preen. People love a vanity show. When she climbed onto the little raised platform to make her toast, the room swelled with performative affection. She took the mic like a queen taking a crown and grinned that predatory smile of hers. She talked about new chapters, honesty, and how happy she was that sister was finding her peace. She used the word family in a tone that made me want to shove the mic into her teeth. I waited until the clapping died down. I stepped forward and cleared my throat. The hush hit like cold water.
"Can I say something?" I asked. My voice was steady, calmer than I felt, and that steadiness was its own weapon. Vanessa's smile faltered. "Oh, the bride-to-be," she said, condescending as ever, as if the day belonged to her to ruin. "No," I said. "I'm here to tell the truth." People laughed, nervous at first because who's in the mood for another family drama? Until I flipped my laptop screen toward the front row and hit play. I let the first screenshot bloom on the big TV behind the bar. A message from Mr. K's work email forwarded to Vanessa with a line like, "Can we meet tonight, K?" Then a photo of Vanessa in his suite, laughing, his hand on her waist, then a Venmo transfer confirmation, $5,000 for your rent, dated and time-stamped. I watched as the laughter died. Vanessa's face went paper white. Her lipstick looked ridiculous against it. The crowd leaned in. A woman near me whispered, "Oh my God." I didn't yell. I didn't beg for attention. I narrated, clinical and cold. Where the messages were from, which dates matched hotel receipts, who paid for what. I told them exactly who Mr. K was. The married man a dozen people had seen with Vanessa at charity galas and front row brunches. I said, "This is why she can afford that bag," and let the silence do the rest of the work. Then I looked at Ethan. He was staring at the floor like he couldn't find the courage to meet anyone's eyes. I said, loud enough for him to hear and everyone else to savor, "Oh, and Ethan, if you ever wondered who she was really selling herself to while you were planning our wedding, here's your answer." Vanessa's chair scraped back. She lunged for the microphone, trying to steal it, to salvage her performance. Her friends froze. Mr. K's wife went pale, then red, then white-hot fury. She stood up like someone pushed play on a suppressed cyclone and walked straight toward Vanessa. The slap landed with a sound that cut clean through the room, the kind of audible shame that reverberates in your bones. A dozen phones went up, recording, mouths open. I felt a tiny, surreal tremor of satisfaction. Vanessa fell apart the way bad acting pretends to. She sobbed, cried betrayal, accused me of ruining her life. She screamed I'd lied, that I'd fabricated the evidence. Her voice turned high and pinched with desperation. I handed a printout of the bank transfers to the woman who had slapped her. She read them, then read them again. For the first time, I saw Vanessa lose the ability to gaslight a room into quiet. People started asking questions, murmurs that spread faster than any gossip I'd felt before. Mr. K's name floated to the surface and clattered like a tray of broken glasses. He stood, mortified, and fled. The wife followed him, dragging a trail of stares and whispers. When the music cut off and the club's owner asked everyone to leave out of respect or fear, Vanessa tried to gather herself like a queen who believed humiliation was temporary. She glanced at me, hatred, humiliated fury, and a trace of pleading in the same look. I felt nothing for her in that moment but cold clarity. As we were escorted out, someone near the entrance hissed, "You really did that." Another voice, softer, said, "She finally got what was coming."
I didn't dance in the rubble. I didn't celebrate. I walked out in silence, the evidence still warm in my hands, the knowledge settling into me that I had taken away her armor and left her exposed. The rest, the public fallout, the ruin she'd pretend not to care about, would unfurl on its own. But as the rain began again and cooled my cheeks, I allowed myself one small, private thought. For the first time in years, Vanessa looked small.
The story didn't end that night. It detonated. By the next morning, the videos had already spread. You know how fast scandal travels online when it's wrapped in beauty, wealth, and betrayal. Clips of Vanessa's humiliation, the slap, her sobbing, my calm narration were everywhere. The captions were merciless. Gold digger exposed by her sister at her own party. The sugar baby scandal of the year. Her name trended for all the wrong reasons. Vanessa tried to fight back at first. She posted some long, rambling Instagram story about false accusations and jealousy. But people aren't stupid. The receipts were too solid, too detailed. The screenshots matched bank records that came out after Mr. K's wife filed for divorce. And the wife wasn't quiet either. She went public. Lawyers got involved. The story hit gossip sites by the end of the week. Vanessa's fiancé? Gone. He called off their engagement the morning after the video dropped. His family wanted nothing to do with her. Her friends, the ones who'd clung to her for free drinks and photo ops, ghosted her. Her sugar daddy, of course, vanished too. He froze her accounts, canceled her credit cards, and told everyone she'd blackmailed him, which in a way was poetic. The man she'd sold her dignity for threw her under the bus faster than anyone else. Within days, her glamorous life fell apart like cheap lace. The penthouse she bragged about? Gone. The car? Repossessed. The brand deals she'd hustled on social media? All cut ties. No one wants to be associated with a scandal that dirty. As for Ethan, well, karma didn't forget him either. Word about his affair spread through our mutual circles. Friends stopped returning his calls. His job, the one he'd worked so hard to impress, quietly let him go. No one fired him outright. They just restructured the team. Corporate speak for, "You're an embarrassment now." I didn't talk to him again. Not once.
And Vanessa. She tried to reach out about a month later. Sent me an email from a new account. It was long, unhinged, and full of self-pity. She said I'd ruined her life over one mistake. She said I should have handled it privately. She even had the audacity to say, "You've proven you're just as cruel as I am." That line stuck with me for a while. Was I cruel? Maybe. But I didn't start the cruelty. I finished it. She'd spent years trying to humiliate me, belittle me, take what was mine simply because she could. And for once, the mask slipped. Everyone finally saw Vanessa for who she truly was, not the radiant, enviable woman she pretended to be, but a parasite feeding off the people who loved her. A few months later, I heard through my dad that she'd moved back in with her mother, broke and bitter. They avoid family gatherings now. When I show up, Vanessa's mom looks away. I don't blame her. Denial must be easier than facing what her daughter became. As for me, I rebuilt. Slowly, quietly. I moved apartments, focused on work, started therapy. Some nights I'd replay everything in my mind, the betrayal, the confrontation, the chaos. And even though revenge didn't fix the pain, it brought me closure. Watching the truth finally come out after years of her manipulations, it was like watching a storm wash away everything rotten. The day I deleted the last wedding photo, I felt light again. Because at the end of it all, I realized something. People like Vanessa think they can do whatever they want because no one ever stops them. But when someone finally does, when the mask cracks and the world sees them clearly, that's a punishment they can't recover from. Her life is in ruins now. She wanted attention, now she has it.
She wanted power, now she's powerless. She wanted to humiliate me, now she's the punchline of her own downfall. And me, I walked away. No tears, no guilt, just peace. Because sometimes the sweetest revenge isn't screaming or breaking things. It's standing still while karma does your dirty work in broad daylight. And trust me, karma didn't miss her.